accomplished for the West to just destabilize it and wreck Libya so that it can't engage in development for the rest of Africa?
That may be mission accomplished maybe for the British and maybe for the U.S., but for the French, maybe for the Italians and some others, they're interested in looting. Actually, today, the British Foreign Secretary Haig said Britain is not going to be left behind when it comes to looting Libya. They're going to try to muscle themselves in there and grab some of those.
No, it was on the news. It was like pigs in a trough fighting over the oil, the water, the airstrips, the goodies.
Right. It's a gang of thieves. This is a war of looting. It's medieval. It's like the sacking of a city. But it won't work. There's going to be a very long civil war. This is an absolute tragedy. This was the most advanced country in Africa in terms of longevity, healthcare, education. The United Nations Human Development Index put them as at the top.
And you predicted the civil war. So what comes next?
Well, then civil war. And civil war means you can see Gaddafi forces retreating to the southern parts of the country. There is this huge desert, but in the desert there are also mountains. I would point you to the province of Fezzan, southwest Libya. This is where the black Libyans are. These are Libyans and Muslims, but they're black.
And there's massive mid-Saharan and southern African sympathy for Gaddafi. He's going to get rebel support. I mean, this is a disaster.
Even Algeria. Algeria is an interesting story because Algeria has had their fill of these al-Qaeda crazies. There was a group called the GIA, the Groupe Islamique Armée, the armed Islamic group. They went on a murder spree in Algeria. They killed hundreds of thousands of people in the mid-90s under U.S. and British sponsorship. So Algeria is not interested in these color revolutions. They don't want to hear about democracy. They want stability. They want civilization. And these are the people that have now taken in Gaddafi's wife, two of his sons, some of his grandchildren. So there's obviously a kind of sympathy there. Algeria has refused to go along with the French-orchestrated anti-Libyan campaign. So get set for a long war and get set for more and more horrendous news coming out of here. But there are these defiant rallying figures, Gaddafi himself, his son Saif, Musa Ibrahim, the information minister, and others. They're reported to have retreated through Bin Walid, which is maybe 50 miles or 100 miles south of Tripoli, but there's another 1,000 miles of desert down there easily. It is, after all, the second largest country in Africa after Sudan in terms of the geography. So a long war. NATO would like to shift their assets into the eastern Mediterranean and gear up the attack on Syria, but it's not clear they'll be able to do that. Gaddafi has been in a blocking position this whole time. He's prevented the destabilization campaign from going on to new countries. He's essentially protected a lot of places.
So he's holding up the CIA-funded Arab Spring.
Right, exactly. And now, of course, it's almost autumn. So we're going to have the Arab winter pretty soon, and it's going to be ugly.
What we're seeing is the al-Qaeda spring, and you're now anti-American, Webster. You don't support al-Qaeda.
I'm sorry, I can't endorse Belhaj. And remember, those guys are the ones who now control the Libyan embassy here in Washington, D.C., on Virginia Avenue. Over there by the Kennedy Center. Don't go to any concerts at the Kennedy Center. Don't go across the Key Bridge here. Don't go to the Watergate building, because you're going to find a lot of terrorists in that neighborhood of D.C.
Well, more anti-American activity, not supporting al-Qaeda, Webster. That's just you're not supporting al-Qaeda, and I think that stands on its own. You're very anti-globalist. In closing, Webster, and we're running out of time, the economy. I mean, we know that the recession never ended. We're really in a depressionary situation. What's happening in Europe? What's happening with the dollar? All these announcements about we won't default. We'll just print more money. Where is it all headed in a nutshell?
Well, obviously, the bailouts don't work, and the attempt to bail out Greece is now falling apart again. The second Greek bailout is now falling apart. Greece obviously needs a debt moratorium. They should simply say they can't pay and they won't pay. Behind that, of course, is the imminent European banking crisis. You could see this coming during the summer as the contagion was deliberately spread to Italy through repeated attacks using credit default swaps. The speculators decided to smash Italy. They've gone pretty far down that road. Spain, Italy, and then after them comes France, Belgium, and even certain German federal states are thought to be.
So the globalists loot other countries with the military, third world and old world. They loot us with banker occupation.
Right. Now, there is a couple of positive things. Europe, I think, will make an effort to tax derivatives. The French government, the German government have agreed that they're going to make a big push in September for a Euro-Tobin, which simply means a tax on derivatives. It's very small, much smaller than what I wanted, but they are doing it. So they are fighting to some degree. Now, the debate we're having here about a recovery program, obviously, Obama is going to come with some collection of these small bore, silly little things that don't make up any difference. But I have a proposal. Let's make Bernanke announce with a tender offer. Say, Bernanke is going to come forward and say, I will buy $1 trillion worth of bonds from American states, and let those American states, 50 of them, start building highways, railroad systems, water systems, canals, let them update their electricity grid. In other words, public works and infrastructure, they can issue the bonds, 0%, 50-year bonds, and sell those to the Federal Reserve. Federal Reserve can buy anything. They can buy unsecured commercial paper.
But they don't want to build infrastructure. They want to implode the economy to continue to consolidate it. But at some point, the black hole of fraud they've created is going to destroy any markets they had a chance at ever being involved in. These are clearly avarice-filled madmen. Webster, we've got to leave it there. Tarpley.net. I'm Alex Jones with InfoWars.com. We'll be right back on the other side of this quick break. Please stay with us.
You don't need me to tell you that humanity is in a deep crisis. Everyone can feel it. We know a tectonic struggle is now taking place between the forces of freedom and those who love darkness, bondage, and enslavement. Yes, my friends, evil is rising. But take heart. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Recently, New World Order operative Hillary Clinton admitted they're losing the info war.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
The globalists are scared. They've overreached. The future of the info war is in your hands. Join PrisonPlanet.tv. Download the thousands of special video reports, ebooks, and more, and get them out to everyone you know. Continue to spread the word about the broadcast on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and every other globalist propaganda platform. We are going to use their system against them. The info war now goes into high gear.
Thank you for being here on the inaugural kickoff of InfoWars Nightly News, Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, we're going to go to our reporter, Darren McBreen, who's been in downtown Austin talking to locals and getting their view on the federal raid on Gibson guitars. Then after the report, we're going to go to the CEO of Gibson Guitar with some incredible information. We go now to Darren McBreen on the street here in Austin, Texas. Darren, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Alex. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. The Green Police have struck again. First, it was the Amish selling eggs, and then it was children's lemonade stands, followed by SWAT teaming people for selling tomatoes. And now, it's Gibson Guitar, one of the few iconic American companies we've got left exporting goods to the world. Now, we're about to show you a TV commercial that started airing during the Super Bowl. What appears to be lighthearted by most viewers is actually a very serious sign of dark times ahead.
Okay, so it's 3708,
Okay.
paper or plastic?
Plastic. That's the magic word. Green Police. You picked the wrong day to mess with the ecosystem, plastic boy.
Battery! Battery! Let's go! Take the house! Come on! Put the rind down! Sir! That's a compost infection!
Oh! Did you install these bulbs?
Well,
Tragedy strikes tonight where a man has just been arrested for possession of an incandescent light bulb.
What do you guys think about plastic bottles now?
The water setting is at 105.
You got a TDI here?
clean diesel.
You're good to go, sir. Good afternoon, officers. Are those foam cups you're drinking from? Yeah. Please step out of the car and put them on the hood.
Here in downtown Austin near 6th Street, music is played live every night of the week. Musicians are known to routinely travel far and wide to get here, but with new federal regulations, it might not be that easy. If you're trying to fly to Canada, for example, and you have a guitar that's 50 years old, they could stop you from traveling, they could take your guitar, and you can even be fined.
That sounds like a pretty typical of the trend of loosely worded and selectively enforced laws that's been happening for a while. You see them popping up more and more. That doesn't shock me.
Just another crackdown. Just when's it going to stop? You know, it's like, what else are they going to take?
They're raiding people for the wood, old wood. I mean, if this precedent goes through, where does it stop?
If it's from another country, it's been exported, then there's going to be these laws that say that if I try to leave the country with my baby, that they're going to take it from me or fine me. That's not fair, man.
You know, I'm not even a musician, but, you know, being in that community, that just makes me feel totally violated and vulnerable.
It kind of reminds me of the way, like, Monsanto tries to restrict home gardens and say they're organic farms.
By doing that, they're trying to take more of our civil liberties, and they're just basically trying to strip all our rights and show us their cards.
It doesn't seem to be a due process sort of situation in the slightest, and it seems to be much more far-reaching.
If you get on a plane and you want to travel out the country, there's a chance that if you have a guitar with you, let's say it's an older guitar, that you could be restricted, you could be fined, or they could even take your guitar from you. What do you think about that?
I say Big Brother's wreaking havoc on the free world every step of the way.
Well, it looks like due process under the law and being innocent before being proven guilty are two concepts that are apparently no longer applicable in the United States, at least as far as the federal government is concerned. I'm Darren McBreen for InfoWars Nightly News. Back to you, Alex.
Thank you, Darren, for that report from the Gibson showroom in Austin, Texas. Well, I'm joined by the CEO since 1986 of Gibson Guitars. We're going to be talking to him in a moment. But first, look at this American-made beauty here, right here in front of me. And the feds are now saying it doesn't matter if your guitar is 50 years old or if it's another company, not just Gibson, that they may actually raid musicians. They may confiscate them when you try to leave the country. It's just incredible. And they're saying next could be old furniture or the wood on firearms. Again, Henry Juskowitz has been the CEO since 1986, and he's been shocked by what happened to him, but also heartened when I was talking to him earlier before we got him on air about the outpouring of support for this American-made icon. Henry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
First off, just give viewers out there the basics of what's happened with this SWAT team raid.
Well, last Wednesday we had, well over a couple of dozen armed agents with weapons and, in some cases, bulletproof vests and SWAT attire come into our facilities, evacuate the facilities, shut down the factories, hustle our people out on the streets and in the parking lots, pour through the factories and grab pallet loads of raw material, wood, grab paperwork, grab computer hard drives, image computer hard drives, and generally shut the business down and indicate that we could not build any guitars or touch any guitars that had Indian rosewood or ebony, and every guitar we touched would be considered a federal crime.
Wow. Now, you are a non-union shop, correct?
Yes.
And you, from what I've read, your operation's mainly a Republican group of donors, and your big competitors, I was reading in the news, they are big Obama supporters, and you are the only company that's been raided so far. This is the second time in the last couple years. Do you think there's something political going on here?
Well, the fact that we're doing the same thing other people are doing, and only we are being targeted, leads me to believe that there are some ulterior possibly political motives. The second thing is it's an